Gail C., Director of Teaching and Learning. This week I have Fay Gore with us. Fay came to us from North Carolina. She is a person who works in the Department of Education there and is focused on social studies. So we're making a move in our social studies pre-K through 12, and I'd like Fay to talk a little bit about what she's been doing to support us with that move. We're moving from Arrow standards into the C3 framework. Would you explain C3 framework to us, please?
Sure. Thank you, Gail, for having me.
Pleasure.
Really, the C3 framework is called the College Career and Civic Ready Framework. And it was published by our National Council for the Social Studies, and it was a way for schools and districts and states to upgrade their social studies curriculum that focuses on 4 dimensions. And those dimensions are developing compelling and supporting questions to spark inquiry. It's a focus on disciplinary literacy with 4 different disciplines in social studies. That's civics, economics, geography, and history. And then it culminates in dimension 3 and 4. Dimension 3 being using sources as evidence to support an argument. And then the final one is communicating conclusions using evidence from that argument and then taking informed action. And the big shift for social studies is really focusing on those conceptual ideas, those enduring ideas that last, and using the skills and the tools of a discipline so that kids can become really smart, both preparing them for college, preparing them for career, and then also the most important thing in social studies is that civic life.
Right, and really developing them as thinkers and problem solvers.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been terrific to really unpack those 4 dimensions with you. And I love that it's broadening and it's taking in those other dimensions, not just the content.
Absolutely.
And it's lining up, I would say, with the trend that's happening with other subject areas, like with what's happening in science, what's happening in math, and et cetera. So
Absolutely.
it's a good alignment for where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you're doing some work in elementary around the next generation science standards. So there's really a good connection there with the practices around inquiry, the inquiry process, and there's connections with geography and science. So there's really opportunities for integration at the elementary level. There is an intentional push for literacy, so there's a connection with the Common Core English Language Arts standards as well, but it's really focused on those practices and the social sciences.
Right. I think it's a wonderful direction for us to go in. So Fay has been here and she's worked all the way across our school. She's worked with elementary teachers, middle school teachers, and high school teachers. Fay, do you want to talk about the work you've actually done with the teachers?
Absolutely. In the elementary grades, we just focused on an awareness of what the C3 framework is and the possible implications moving forward after they're done with their work with next generation science standards. In middle school, we're actually looking at how to develop these inquiries as instructional practice, right? So they're looking at their current reality and what they're currently teaching to see if there needs to be any shifts that happen. And it really is a coordinated effort, really 6-10, right, in the courses that you teach to make sure that there's no redundancy in the content that they're teaching, and just really focusing on how to develop your courses using the inquiry approach and these big overarching compelling questions that motivate kids to learn. And at the high school, they're actually developing their units. So they've started reorganizing some of their current curriculum for their geography course and their world history course. And it's been an interesting process because what it is not just a set of standards, but it actually is a teaching and learning framework, and it's really getting teachers to think more creatively about developing curriculum that focuses on those big enduring ideas that kids can apply throughout life.
Right, and moving from that fact-based type social studies that
we
did,
that's right.
to really developing these thinkers, thinking like historians,
absolutely,
etc.
Absolutely. In the foundation, we talk about inquiry, but all that is just an exploration into life and finding truth and finding authentic problems and issues in society and getting students to start thinking critically about how do we solve these problems, you know, as citizens of the world, as global citizens.
Right, and I think as an overseas school and international school, this particular framework sits really well for our context. And I love the work that we've really started to dip into with how are we going to assess this?
Absolutely.
What are the assessments going to look like? And that's been some terrific work this week.
Absolutely. It's interesting in terms of the creativity that the teachers are coming up with these authentic performance tasks. So we don't just use multiple choice tests as an endpoint and factual knowledge as an endpoint, but the endpoint is really around giving kids these authentic situations where model you in and simulations and those types of things. So it's that is the endpoint, is the real life application of the.
And they learn that content through those experiences.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Well, Faye, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
This is her second visit here with us, and we're looking forward to the next steps as we progress through this. And I know that we will be certainly working with you from afar when you're back in North Carolina to help us and give us some feedback on the work we're doing.
Absolutely. It's been wonderful being here, and I wish you all the best. I'm sure that your teachers have a good foundation and they're going to move forward in a really positive way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're also looking at solutions to that and ways that I can transfer my understanding of those solutions to a real world contemporary issue that I can take action on, right? So it's not just the study of this. And that's why I keep going back to this compelling question, because what is the outcome that you seek with just the study of political and economic systems? It's not just the accumulation of knowledge. It's really about how to use that knowledge to tackle some challenge or problem.